Welcome everybody to the first annual Man Bites Media Awards, and tonight we are going to be presenting the best films of 2018 with the following categories: Viewer's Choice, Animation, Comedy, Horror, Action, Drama, Documentary, Sci-Fi, and Superhero films from 2018. And these are going to be presented by everybody from Man Bites Media, including William Phoenix, Nisha M, your geek mom, Brandon Lacal, and myself, Louis Lacal, with performances by A Brilliant Lie, Sunshine and Bullets, Silent Mara, Arjun Bala, Sabrina Redmond, and Jiffy Mixa. I hope you guys enjoy the show.
And welcome back to Man Bites Media 2019 Film Awards. And in our next section, we will be announcing the Viewer's Choice Awards. I'm Nisha M, your geek mom, joined by Joe at Life Into the West. And we are amazed. There were 390 films released in 2018, and 120 films were nominated for the Man Bites Media Film Awards categories, and there were 2,600 votes cast, and that's pretty awesome. So we are pleased to announce that the viewer's choice is you, the fans, telling us what films you love the most and you connected to. And those films are...
In third place, Christopher Robin. In second place, A Quiet Place. And last but not least, your viewer's choice winner film for 2019, Avengers: Infinity Wars.
And our first musical guest tonight is A Brilliant Lie, performing their song, Red Eyes of Thoughts Awry.
Peeling the corners of the secrets and
These are all the best movies of 2018, and we have our usual people that join us. Brandon Lacow, of course.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm super excited.
And the incredible William Phoenix.
That's right. He said incredible. Remember that, folks? That's what I am.
Only sometimes.
Whatever, bite me.
The Incredibles, like the movie. No.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you have to wait 14 years for it.
And it's not so good.
Oh!
Oh!
We're not
that's
talking
right.
about your past sex life here.
Oh my! Wow! Whoa!
Speaking of,
Wait, are we like the Oscars? We have like really bad like sexual jokes that maybe 2 years down the line we're like, maybe we shouldn't have said that.
yeah,
I mean,
probably.
isn't that what our whole show is usually about?
So on that note, another amazing movie about crazy people, Crazy Rich Asians.
Hey, I actually haven't seen that movie. I've heard it's not bad actually.
It's literally what the title says. A bunch of crazy rich Asians.
We're going to be getting a lot of that from Brandon tonight.
Yeah, right? It's going to be like A Quiet Place.
You know, to give you a little behind the scenes, listeners, my cousin told me that I could only be PG-13, so I was going to say something really mean to William, but I held my tongue. But yes, they're right. Unfortunately, I don't watch a lot of movies because I'm.
Don't hate.
It's going to be like one of our other contenders, just not like The Meg.
Oh
my God. I actually saw Meg recently. Dumb movie. By the way,
Hey.
really random, Lewis. I asked you
Shark.
halfway through the movie. Spoilers. There's not really spoilers. There's a giant shark. A second shark shows up. They never really explained the shark. Where is the second shark from? There's two megalodons.
Duh.
There's two.
It's from the Glimmer from Annihilation. That's where it's from.
Oh my god.
Why, Brandon? Won't you be my neighbor?
Ah! End my suffering.
Come into my mind! Stay here!
I can't. I wish I had one. Damn it! I don't have the list of movies in front of me.
He's got nobody to protect him. He needs the Avengers. Oh wait, only half of them though. Dust in the wind.
That's a song.
Definitely not another Star is Born. Definitely not.
Oh.
All right, guys. You know what? I'm gonna end this for the listeners, for ourselves.
No, this is too much fun. Are you kidding? Movie puns all day, every day, son.
The next musical guest.
You weren't born with it? Come on. Wasn't it Hereditary?
He wasn't born that way.
The next musical guest of
No,
hold on a
not
second,
ending
hold
it that quickly.
Come
Hell
on,
no.
we gotta deal with the political fallout.
Are you talking about the video game Fallout 76 that was going on in Washington?
Talking about Mission Impossible Fallout, dummy. Come
Oh,
on.
that Fallout. Oh, okay.
No.
We're not talking about the political fallout from, the Black Klansmen.
Yeah, by the way,
Bother.
I know it's supposed to be the KKK, but like, come on, man.
No. If you pronounce the name right, it's Black Klansmen.
Yeah. It's like you
I'm
like.
gonna sit here, mind my own business, and be ready to play my game.
I'm telling you.
Solo?
No, because I have a player 2, and it's Ready Player 2.
And not Deadpool 2?
I had a really bad pun. I was like, I'm Raider to stop this, but that's really bad. I'm not gonna. No.
You're Raider to stop this. He's not Englishing well tonight.
I know, man.
No, it's definitely like the summer of '84 again.
Oh.
Okay, I'm done. The next musical guest on our awards show is Sunshine
Mary
and Bullet.
Poppins Returns. No?
Did your mother teach you no manners? Don't interrupt, William.
When adults are speaking.
Show me an adult and I won't interrupt.
Ah! Sunshine and Bullets performing their song Now or Never.
the sun is going down. I know that now is the time for the reason how I've been given. Now that all my sacrifice has been fed to the wolves, and I never figured how I was pulled down with them. 'Cause I need this more than ever. I'm running out of time, and I know that it's now or never. I may be selling my soul tonight, and I hope that I'm not mistaken, 'cause it's too late to change my mind. And I know that it's now or never. I won't be coming home tonight.
Never did I think that the venom would take over me. I never saw it coming, but I wanted to see wherever you would follow and be my lead me into places never ending. And now can you bleed enough for me to never need anything but what is now? 'Cause I need this more than ever. I'm running out of time, and I know that it's now or never. I may be selling my soul tonight, and I hope that I'm not mistaken, 'cause it's too late to change my mind. And I know that it's now or never. I won't be coming home tonight.
Afraid of the one thing I haven't done yet, but I just can't get this thing out of my head.
I'm betting it all 'cause I have nothing left. I'm putting it all up on 17 black.
'Cause I need this more than ever. I'm running out of time, and I know that it's now or never. I may be selling my soul tonight, and I hope that I'm not mistaken, 'cause it's too late to change my mind. And I know that it's now or never. I won't be coming home tonight. I won't be coming home tonight.
I may be selling my soul tonight.
And now I'm bringing you the top nominees in animation. Isle of Dogs, a stop-motion film about dogs that looks very ugly and is the weirdest movie I've ever seen. Incredibles 2, the movie about a superhero family, 14 years in the making that no one asked for, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, a movie about a group of Spider-Men coming together to beat a Spider-Man villain. And the winner is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Honestly, I was super excited and cautiously optimistic about this movie when I first saw the trailer back at the beginning of this year. And when it came out, the praise for it was like it got universal acclaim. So I was like, oh, let me go watch this movie. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, of course. I think everybody is. And I was so happy that I went to see this movie the entire time. I was there with my little brother, and I just had a smile across my face. It is the most comic book movie I have ever seen, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It's the style of the film. When people fight, they do the pows like the old 1960s Batman series. And this movie stars, for the first time, Miles Morales, which is a half black, half Latino kid that lives in New York City and gets bitten by a spider and becomes Spider-Man. And he comes across this huge thing that Wilson Fisk is doing, and Wilson opens a portal. And in that portal, 4 or 5, I'm trying to keep count in my head, come through the portal, different Spider-Men from different universes. That's Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, Peter Parker from another universe, and this little Japanese girl, which at the moment her name is escaping my mind. Honestly, it takes you for a ride. There's so many villains, and some of them completely throw you for a loop. I remember being in the theater watching this with my little brother, and I was like, I cannot believe that this character is this person. It completely caught me by surprise, and we follow Miles in, your stereotypical, like, coming of age, taking on the mantle of becoming the new superhero. And it does so, like, the voice acting in this film is phenomenal. They all come across very well. And the guy that voices Miles, which his name is Shamik Moore, whom I don't think I've ever heard or seen him act in anything else, does a wonderful job playing Miles. And the scene when he finally dons the black suit with his hoodie on and his shorts and his Nike Jordans and just jumps through New York City and swings, and you feel like you are Spider-Man. You feel like you have become Spider-Man with him. And honestly, it was one of the best movies I've seen this year, one of the funnest, and honestly, I would say that it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, period. And now I bring you the nominees for comedy. Game Night, a movie about a group of adults trying to be young and doing very dumb, stupid things. Super Troopers 2, if you've seen the first one, you know what it's about. And Black Klansman, a CIA agent infiltrating the KKK. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the winner is Black Klansman.
All right, so we will talk about Black Klansman. I feel bad. There's a lot of Spike Lee movies that I have not seen, and in fact, this is the only one I've actually gone to see in the theaters. And man, was it a good one to start with. I don't want to say that this is a return to form for Spike Lee, because he's always been kind of like fluctuating between just slumming it to just really provocative stuff. This one went beyond provocative and actually just became a full-blown indictment of what is going on in the world, and he did it very cunningly through a incident that took place in the 1970s. An incident which sounds pretty damn outrageous to ever be considered real, but this thing actually happened. Admittedly, this film itself may have over-stylized it just a bit with some extra side plots, but the good thing about here is that I'm usually not a big fan of biopics because they tend to over-glamorize things, like certain Golden Globe winners that, screw that movie, that tend to damage the entire movie, whereas Black Klansman, when they do it in a way that aids the central theme of the movie, specifically how the war pretty much goes on regarding racism, and how it, unfortunately, despite our best efforts, seems to just be this virus that just seems to keep spreading. And there's a whole bunch of subplots which they have said did not take place, but you don't care because it all lends so much to the core of the movie. And John David Washington, who is basically the son of Spike Lee alumni Denzel Washington, makes a incredible breakout performance in this film. So, to the point where not only does he get out of his father's shadow, you didn't even realize the shadow was even there. He is that good in the film. He carries it all the way through, but he carries it gracefully to the point where no one else gets overshadowed as well. And that's good because we've also got the new kick-ass Sith on the block, Adam Driver, who the great thing about his character is that most other movies, like In the Heat of the Night, and many of its ilk would always have the token white character as like the stereotypical racist, like another Golden Globe winner, Green Book. Whereas in this case, it's not that he's racist. He just thinks that because he's white, it doesn't bother him. It doesn't affect him in any way. But here he is, because he's the right man for the job to infiltrate the Klan. His mind ends up being blown away because he also realizes, I'm Jewish. I never was practicing, but now I'm kind of realizing why this whole thing is important. And the film is littered with just little stuff like that, which carries you all the way through, and how you're really invested in the characters, and in the hopes that they can really blow the lid off the Klan in this. Now, the thing is, normally a movie that tackles this subject matter would be very dramatic, and there are moments of intense drama and even more suspense. There was actually a surprising amount of suspense in this film, particularly in scenes involving Adam Driver when you got one of the Klan members who's got an entire armory in his basement. That whole scene is crazy freaking intense. But then at the same time, there's moments of wild, laugh-out-loud humor. And a lot of the scenes had to go do with John David Washington being on the phone with David Duke. And even better is that he's sitting there on the phone, and he's got all of his colleagues in the police department all listening in, and all like trying their best to stifle their laughter. I mean, this man's living the American dream. I've always wanted to crank call the Klan, yeah, without fear of repercussion. But that's the tip of the iceberg. Another thing I gotta say, and he gets a lot of crap because he was the man who never should have been Venom. But my God, Topher Grace, this. I don't know if you could ever consider this a comeback, because I don't think he ever really left us, but man, this is a career-defining performance for him. For Eric Foreman, this is a performance that I don't think any of us even knew he was capable of. And if you've ever seen the actual David Duke, which unfortunately we've seen a lot of him recently, you could pretty much say that yes, this is not just good casting, this is just good direction, good performance. But by and large, BlacKkKlansman deserved every bit of praise it gets onto it. I mean, I will say there are some points where Spike Lee has a bit of the subtlety of a sledgehammer beating into a nitroglycerin storage, but frankly, it's the kind of thing we need. It's the kind of thing that, frankly, in this day and age, you kind of need to beat people over the head with this kind of imagery to remind them that this stuff is still going on, and we need to call it out. And this film is the one that not only has the power for it, but it has the balls to do it. So, BlacKkKlansman, big win.
And our next musical guest for tonight is Silent Mara, performing their song Locust.
Locust.
From remakes of classic genre picks to terrifying silence, outrageous drug-induced magic, inherent special abilities, to young misadventures or Nazi zombies, horror has left its mark on our culture's minds for 2018, and the nominees for 2018 Best Horror Films are Summer of '84, Overlord, Hereditary, and A Quiet Place. And the winner is A Quiet Place.
I would like to thank everyone at Man Bites Media for this wonderful award of, yes, it is deserving to A Quiet Place. For her horror movie of 2018, this film definitely had a lot of good things going for it. It scared audiences with this atmosphere of the idea that if you make a sound, you're dead. And that definitely shocked and scared a lot of audiences. There was a great use of sign language in this film, accurate sign language. And at the same time, they also had a deaf actress in the film with a cochlear implant, which you don't happen to see that often on screen. The only negative about that aspect is the cochlear implant, which was important to this film, did upset the deaf community because there is a negative history about cochlear implants. So that is something worth researching on your own time. But when we're talking about an award here, this movie goes for great awards because it is ultimately for the achievement of keeping audiences quiet for at least over 2 hours in 2018. You couldn't text or even cough when you're watching this film because you're thinking, I might die. So thank you, A Quiet Place, for keeping people quiet for at least good solid 2 hours or more.
From giant sharks and big explosions, to running through the wilderness and puzzles, to Playboy secret agents stopping nuclear holocaust, you would think you're in the 1980s. But the nominees for Best Action Film of 2018 is Mission Impossible Fallout, Tomb Raider, and The Meg. And 2018's Best Action Film is Mission Impossible Fallout.
How far has this franchise come from being a Tom Cruise vanity project to a Tom Cruise vanity project where he injures himself horribly and he broadcasts it for all to see? And the best part is the investment of pain, blood, sweat, and tears is absolutely worth it once again. Mission Impossible Fallout, while yes, as a sequel to a consistently improving franchise, but that alone is the fact that it's yet another fantastic entry in this series. But the fact that this one wanted to push the envelope even further, not just on a story level, but on a stunt level, there were so many times where I was actually breathless. And yes, I mean, one could call it vainglorious that Tom Cruise is doing all these stunts himself, but at the same time, you got to admire the dedication of someone who's actually willing to put life and limb for the sake of a perfect shot, and for the sake to make sure that the action scenes feel like there's actual jeopardy within. Because, again, the evidence is writ large across the screen. And I think a lot of that also comes about because of this seemingly pretty much perfect collaboration between Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie, who, if you have looked at their collaborations over the past, I'd say 5 years, maybe 6 years, has been absolutely, has been spectacular. From, underrated gems like Jack Reacher, the first one, not the second one. McQuarrie had nothing to do with that one, all the way to this one. It just seems like they found their pairing, and it seems like they are able to carve something really special out of this. It's no mystery why now Christopher McQuarrie is the only director in the franchise to come back for directorial duties. And again, it shows. And in a way, I'm kind of hope they keep it that way, because it keeps a nice cohesion between this recent string of great movies that have come out of this franchise. But by and large, and the great part is, a good Mission Impossible movie, even though, yeah, Tom Cruise is the focal point in it, Ethan Hunt has always been the focal point of this franchise, never once, at least not since MI3, has it felt like it's just his show. And that's another great thing that they really emphasized, particularly starting with MI3, but they really went full throttle in Ghost Protocol, and they really shine extremely well here in Fallout, the team dynamic. That's been something that is a staple of the original TV series, is the team dynamic, the idea of a team coming together with their particular skill sets in order to obtain an asset or achieve a mission. And not only do they really emphasize that in this movie, they actually go further to point out what they actually mean to Ethan. And that even leads to the principal reason why Fallout is probably not only thus far the best of the franchise, but in a way a sort of culmination of everything that has been built up, not just from MI3 onward, but from the beginning of the franchise. The fact that they are actually going back and making allusions to the fact that, yeah, Ethan Hunt has consistently been screwed over by his government multiple times, and it is safe to question why Ethan's intentions, and why he's so always consistently prone to go rogue. And you're wondering, when's the time going to come when he's actually going to just go completely off the rails? And it all leads to you questioning his motivations as to what it is that drives him to always prioritize the mission for the greater good. And this film in general actually shows everything he fights for: his friends, everyone he loves, and for the innocent people who actually have nothing to do with all these little scrapes, but the people he fights against always seem to push it that way. And they always seem to claim that they're doing it for the greater good. Of course, you've got Henry Cavill and the mustache that destroyed Justice League. It's a gorgeous mustache. I defy anyone. Even I can't sport a mustache that looks that good, and freaking guns that you can actually hear the little cock sound when he goes in that bathroom scene. I'm going off on a tangent, but these are all these little elements which, in most other movies, they'd want to just focus entirely on that, but these are all little cogs that have been meticulously crafted for a film that, from what I understand, was actually being written sporadically as it was in production. The fact that it all still came together, and it came together so well, and the fact that also it's, to make one of the best looking Mission Impossible films, with the action sequences being as insanely kinetically filmed as they are, but even in the non-action scenes to either make mountain scenes that look lush and foreboding, to scenes in clubs which look frantic and chaotic, but then all of a sudden to turn around to see scenes which are more elegant, more deliberately paced. I'm gushing, but it's probably one of the most perfect action films to come out of this particular decade. I mean, not only am I putting this next to the other Mission Impossible films, I'm putting them next to recent masterpieces like the John Wick films. It's that level. We have hit a new level of action filmmaking where we seem to have finally come to that balance, that blessed balance between practical and CGI. And you could definitely say that this is one of the franchises that helped pioneer that in this age. Right next to the John Wick films, right next to Mad Max Fury Road, the Fallout is definitely one of the forefronts that I feel should be a mode of study for film classes when they want to get into big spectacle filmmaking, whether it be on stunts or staging or concept. If you have not seen Mission Impossible Fallout yet, and you are a Mission Impossible fan, shame on you. But if you have not even started with this franchise, get started right now, because when you get to this one, it will be worth it.
Our next performance is Arjun Bala with his spoken word titled Orlando.
Welcome to the city beautiful, the suburban wasteland, loosely linked together by chains of Lynx buses. The blue island surrounded by red tides, as red as the sunsets on Gemini. I reflect on my time in the world's destination, the South Side. South Chase chasing dreams with OJ from OBT. Now, out-of-towners on vacation may be the face of this city, but if beauty is in the eye of the beholder, then we are the peripheral city. Existing outside at first glance, but always looking for a chance to broaden horizons, open your eyes. You may not know what to look for, but inspiration awaits those who dare to explore. Beneath the murals of Mills 50, the city speaks in many tongues, shades, and flavors. My number one fans tongue-tie trin feed food for the soul while the B-boys be top-rocking. Unlocking my words for me to speak my piece at Writer's Block. Who's next? While the MCs flex non-stop Monday nights at Austin's Coffee. No matter what the context be, Sean welcomes one and all to share diverse words and scatter the seeds of creativity like dandelions in the wind. The movie man paints pictures with the pen while Simba throws up the X and extends a helping hand to young lions who've gone astray. She tells them we'll find a way out together. Just like the weather, hard times come in waves. With every scorching summer day spent in the broken-armed embrace of Lizzie's couch with nothing but a cold pint to keep the spirit warm, this city reminds me that a lion's might is not measured in the length of its claws, but the iron in its will to fight on when all seems lost. Behind every pulse here, there is a heart, beating with a love that can unite even the most fractured community. The beauty of the city beautiful lies not in the monuments of old or how many stories high are our buildings. It is in the untold stories waiting to be heard. It's easy to complain about construction around every corner, but how can we find any building blocks without building blocks? We've paved these streets with the promise of tomorrow. The stratosphere is our ceiling, and we scrape the skies with our potential. Keep dancing, Orlando. A river of feeling flows beneath our feet as we reach for the stars to guide us forward. We're down south chasing dreams. The real Magic Kingdom lives outside of those castle walls. It's in BVL, Kissimmee, Lake Nona, Hunters Creek, Soto, Lake Eola, Metro West, Winter Park, Winter Garden, Apopka, Lake Mary, Castleberry, Oviedo. Will always represent Senflo, the city of Orlando, where no one wants to stay, where everyone wants to go. This is my home, forever my city. What better place to find an identity than a city building its own? Orlando.
2018 brought us some incredible movies in the drama category. Our three finalists include a remake, a biopic, and an original story. A Star is Born, this time with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper as the two main co-stars, have written and performed the music for the movie. The soundtrack is amazing. Lady Gaga never lets us down, and Bradley Cooper, not only co-producing but also performing in the movie, has an amazing voice. Up next, we have the biopic Bohemian Rhapsody. As we all know, is the rise of the band Queen. Again, this movie was very much on point. One of the best biopics I have ever seen. Even with the liberties that they took making it, it still took together. I can't wait for the DVD to come out on this one. And the last one, the original story of Christopher Robin, which is a little bit in the style of Finding Neverland. It's Christopher Robin as an adult, kind of loses himself a little bit. So Winnie the Pooh and everybody from 1,000 Acres comes out to help him find his youth, find his love, and find who he truly is. So all three movies, really good. They all did very good at the box office and very well deserving of being finalists. And our winner is Bohemian Rhapsody, one of the best drama biopic movies to come out of 2018. As everybody knows, it is about the rise of Queen in the 70s and 80s. What can be said about this movie that has not been said yet? I mean, Rami Malek does a wonderful, wonderful portrayal of Freddie Mercury. Everybody in this movie is on point. Though certain liberties, as anybody that's a Queen fan would know, have been taken because of time constraints on the movie. There is nothing about their story or their major points of their lives in Queen that has not been touched from obviously Freddie Mercury himself with the whole finding himself, his sexuality, and then being diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, to We Will Rock You, the actual Bohemian Rhapsody song being put together and them just breaking down wall after wall after wall. The movie goes by relatively fast. There's really no down time to it. It's always something new, something new, something new. Everybody that is anybody, I mean, Queen themselves, the members of Queen were there when the songs were recorded and approved of it. So when you have the backing of the person or the people that you're doing the bio about, you know you're doing a phenomenal job. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is worth the time, and especially if you're a Queen fan, if you're a true Queen fan, you've seen it already. And if you are an up-and-coming Queen fan, this is something you definitely want to have and watch. So, Bohemian Rhapsody. Our three finalists for the documentaries are all about the lives of three incredible people that impacted us one way or another. From Won't You Be My Neighbor, the life of Fred Rogers. As you all know, if you've grown up any time in the past 40 years, you've heard his name, you've seen his show, you know who he is, and how much he's impacted not only your life, but also the life of public television. To McQueen, which is the story about it explores the life of British fashion designer Alexander McQueen, who started his career in his teens before gaining notice as designer of Givenchy and launching his own label, which continues to this day. Sadly, he ended up taking his life in 2010, but his name goes on. And ultimately, Robin Williams come inside my mind, which speaks for itself. You've heard the name, whether you've seen any of his movies or anything he's ever done. Robin Williams had his hand in just about everything in Hollywood. And your winner is Won't You Be My Neighbor. Congratulations.
Won't You Be My Neighbor, the most amazing documentary of 2018. This is the story of Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. If you don't remember this from the 90s, oh my god, you missed out so much on so many great life lessons, and told in a way that is so humbling and so beautifully done. Fred Rogers delivers this amazing performance every single day, bringing to you not only life lessons, but lessons on how to live your life, which is completely different, because he gave you kind of the motivation and the way that you could actually approach hard situations like divorce, like so many other different things, tragic events like 9/11 and everything. And he actually gave you the motivation and inspiration. And this documentary follows in his steps every point in his career, from the moment that he became a pastor to the moment that he was talking about 9/11, to the moment where he tried to actually inspire adults rather than children, and tried and failed at many different things, but he successfully changed the face of America because of his program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And this documentary does him so much justice by allowing him to be who he was and bring it in such a way that it's not a fluff piece, it's not a tearing down of the character of this person, it's literally just giving the facts. And this documentary does such a great job of portraying this man's life. And honestly, this is probably one of the best tributes I could ever imagine to a person that deserves it so much. So yes, Won't You Be My Neighbor is best documentary, and I'm so glad it did for 2018.
Coming up next, country artist Sabrina Redman performing her new single, Still I Stand. Ladies and gentlemen, Sabrina Redman.
I've been down so many roads, trying to find the place I can call home. I've fought valiantly through all these wars, lost myself, lost the will that kept me hanging on to something gone. When demons start to fight inside my head, and the walls are closing in on me, I pull myself away from it all. Isolation and denial that everything I love is hanging by a thread. 'Cause I'm scared. Still I stand. So what do you do when there ain't nothing you can do? And how do you tell the ones you love you can't? And what do you say when there's nothing left? What can you make out of empty promises? How do you change what you don't even understand? 'Cause I'm scared and I'm torn. Don't wanna leave, don't wanna say goodbye. And the choice is pulling me apart, bringing me and leaving me out to dry. I'm broken inside, but still I stand. And I'm playing along, thinking I'm happy and strong, but everything feels so wrong. My world's falling apart, I'm watching it shatter. My heart is breaking, but I've gotta keep holding on. 'Cause I'm scared and I'm torn. Don't wanna leave, don't wanna say goodbye. And the choice is pulling me apart. I'm scared and I'm torn. Don't wanna leave, don't wanna say goodbye. And the choice is pulling me apart, bringing me and leaving me out to dry. I'm broken inside, but still I stand. Still I stand.
And now we will announce the top sci-fi film category of 2018. So the films of sci-fi this year span the spectrum of science fiction and fantasy, from an imagined future world altered by alien technology. The Shimmer is emerging of beauty and horror to a world of RPG, virtual reality, video gaming, and a fanboy's dream, to a galaxy far, far away, where we are transported to the early years of a burgeoning empire's tyranny. Sci-fi has treated us to a vast offering of science, technology, aliens, space exploration, and imagining the impossible. And the films nominated in tonight's category are Ready Player One, Annihilation, and Solo, A Star Wars Story. And the winning film in the top sci-fi category is Ready Player One. Congratulations!
When Ready Player One was announced that it was going to be made in movie mode, and not only was it going to come in movie mode, but Steven Spielberg was going to be at the helm of it, the buzz was there right off the bat, and it did not die down, and it did not let down above anything else. From start to finish, it is action-packed and filled with pop culture from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today, from video games, especially video games, because this entire movie basically takes part in this virtual reality world, because we live in a time where basically you can call it post-apocalyptic if you want, but everybody basically wants to escape to the oasis, which is kind of like what we do now when we go off and play video games, but it's a whole different world, and they're trying to find these 3 keys that will unlock basically the next chapter in life and humanity. But the CGI is very well done, because there were times where I was watching it that I forgot they were in the oasis. I had to read, like, oh wait, this is not the actual actors, this is what's going on in this virtual world. Obviously there's the bad guys that want to find these keys for their own reasoning, but the movie itself, though different, and again, as always, took liberties from the book, the movie is a great, well done piece, very entertaining. The cast is, you don't have like your big name actors, but the cast does a very well job to come together, and you can see that they're playing off each other. It's not robotic. It's not, no pun intended. But now that it's on DVD, you can pause it and look at the backgrounds, not just the forefront, but in the background, all these characters and cars and machines that we grew up on as a generation and the generation before us, and even the one that's, after us, the younger crowd. It really brings everybody together. It's like, oh, look, there's the Iron Giant. Oh, look, there's King Kong. And the back, you have a Mortal Kombat person. Very well done. Very well put together. So, Ready Player One, watch it, have fun with it, and then, who knows, pick up an old video game and reminisce about your childhood.
And our next category will be Top Superhero Films of 2018. From The Chance of a Kingdom That Stole Our Hearts, Wakanda Forever, to Chimichangas and an unlikely family that is not an F word, to a devastating blow, a mass genocide dealt through the snap of a finger. The superhero films this year have been dominated by Marvel, bringing our childhood dreams of saving not only the world, but also the universe into near reality, challenging us humans turned superheroes to fight for something better, to stand up and work together to build and rebuild our personal kingdoms and families, and to bring down walls that have tried to fracture our existences. Oh yeah, and to fight like a badass Dora Milaje. And the films nominated in tonight's category are Black Panther, Deadpool 2, and Avengers Infinity Wars. And the winning film in the top superhero film category is Avengers Infinity Wars. Yes, congratulations! And hello! We are going to review Marvel's Avengers Infinity Wars today. So, Avengers Infinity Wars entered 2018 as one of the most awaited, anticipated, and perhaps feared comic book film translations to ever hit the screen. Transforming a beloved classic story, Infinity Wars transports fans across 50 years of Avengers history to a galactically devastating moment of genocide, where Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Panther, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the rest of the Avengers unite with the Wakandan Kingdom to battle their most powerful enemy yet, the evil Thanos. On a mission to collect all 6 Infinity Stones, Thanos plans to use the artifacts to inflict his twisted will on reality. I have to tell you, knowing the story, knowing the origins of the story, I went into the film as one of those fans going, well, I'm not sure they're going to do this justice. And I know the history. I absolutely adore this 3-part series. And a little trepidation, I was transfixed. I was emotionally moved by the film. I cannot give the acting top accolades all the way across because I feel that at moments it was a bit stilted. But then again, it has a lot to do with whether or not the actors were given the role from the point of view from the origination of the character. And again, that's probably my personal bias because I loved the original comic book series so much. And we have to remember that this is produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios. It is the sequel to The Avengers and Age of Ultron and the 19th film in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is leading up to the culmination of the entire series of Avengers. So, of course, we're going to be anticipating a lot of angst, a lot of emotion, a lot of storytelling, and a lot of finality. And I do feel that we are treated to that because we're given a really good open book synopsis of who Thanos is, although I really wish that they would have gotten to the meat and potatoes more about his origination story, a little bit more about Gamora, a lot more about Nebula, so we could really truly understand what his motivations were for wanting to be able to, with a snap of a finger, alter reality of all time, all space, all galaxies, and the expansiveness of all universes. His motives, we are given those motives in that dream state that we see Gamora speaking to him as a child in, and while we're intrigued by it, unfortunately, without the core of the story behind it, it certainly can leave a fan wanting, especially a fan who's not had the opportunity to read all of the stories. So for me, coming into the film, reading it, I was sitting there going, well, now this is out of place and this is out of time, but I'm cool with this because I know that there's a bigger story and there's a bigger purpose behind it, so I was good with it. Why I am looking forward to Endgame so much because I'm really hoping that they pull all of the pieces of the puzzle together. In general, I absolutely love the cinematography. I love the CG. I love the dialogues and the movements between Iron Man and Spider-Man. I'm a huge fan, in general, of Black Panther. So to see the Wakandan Empire and Kingdom represented the way that it is, it's actually extremely moving to me. And to also be able to see everyone come together. But, oh my God, those finality scenes. I mean, anyone watching the film would have been, to some extent, either in horror, in tears, emotionally confused, worried, puzzled, anything you can think of. We were left thinking and pondering and puzzled. And I think that that's the beauty of the film, the fact that we did leave in that way, because that is what this story is supposed to do to us. It is supposed to leave us wanting something more, to leave us thinking. But for God's sakes, man, in that snap, if all of us didn't really question our humanity and what we would do in those moments, and what would we do if we saw our loved ones and those people so, indelible to our existence just fade away in the snap like that and fall and just crumble into dust, then, I'm not sure that we're getting the point of the story. I think it really was to bring us to a place where we would all have to imagine that there's a possibility, that Ward will bring this on us, right? And I think that all of that is something that is called into question as we watch the film. Basically, it has us thinking, it has us feeling, it keeps movement, it transforms the story, it talks to us about reality, it talks to us about the fate of the planet and existence itself, and the fact that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that existence, it has never been more uncertain, as everything that the Avengers have fought for up until this moment seems to have just faded away, or has it? Being a true lover of the story and knowing where things go, I could say different, I could tell you, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to give this a thumbs up, rate it really well, and tell you guys, it was a winning film for a good reason. So get out there, watch it if you haven't watched it, and watch it a second time if you have to, and maybe even a third time, and let's talk.
Thank you guys for joining us on this Man Bites Media Award, reviewing the best films of 2018. I appreciate you guys listening through all the way to the end. And of course, I have Nisha M, your geek mom, with us for this last segment, because obviously with Diversely Geek and Man Bites Media, we are pretty much in conjunction, and we work on so many different projects together that we wanted to give you kind of an insight of what we're going to be doing for 2019, since this is the best time for an announcement, I think. So I will start off, Nisha, with announcing Man Bites Film Spotlight. This is going to be our new segment that is basically going to be spotlighting each of these different fandoms, from Star Wars to Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter, and we're not going to be going into our usual thing with the films or the books. We're going to be going in depth into the mythology, the history that these authors created for the fans, and going all the way back from the beginning of the mythologies for each one to the book times, the movie times, and give you really in-depth of what each of these fandoms represent. And Nisha, go ahead and announce your big announcement for 2019.
Well, one is that, of course, I'm extremely happy to be part of the Spotlight series, and that's kind of a beautiful collaborative or concept. I love the whole feel behind that. Oh my God, I want to say what we're going to be doing, but we can't. I don't want to give any of it away, but it's going to be extremely in-depth, like you said, and then very intelligent and very, I guess, tech-savvy in a sense, as well as art-savvy look at the history and the mythos behind the stories that we love so much. And so for 2019, Diversely Geek Discusses, which is our podcast, has really taken a great foothold. So happy to announce we are now on pretty much most of the major social media platforms out there for streaming podcasts. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and a few others. So, oh my God, so awesome.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's so amazing when you get to hear yourself up there. And we got our first ratings. Yay.
Yay.
I know. So for this year, we are really heading, just like you're discussing from the Man Bites Media team side, we're really heading into much more in-depth analysis, but at the same time, a more psychosocial and an emotional look at our fandoms, our favorite fandoms, and what they've meant through us. And, really try and bring that, the fan into the discussion as well. So.
That's awesome.
And you can definitely keep an eye out on Diversely Geek in 2019 to continue the Diversely Geek Discusses series with an indulgence into the new media that is 2019, as well as the old media and fandoms that we hold near and dearest to our hearts, such as Avatar: The Last Airbender. I myself will be partaking in Avatar: The Last Airbender, a year in review, and that'll actually be premiering next month in February. And you can look forward to those podcasts every month, a couple times a month, and we'll be continuing on with our collaborative podcast as well. And
with Doctor Who in Review, every Monday we're going to be premiering those episodes.
Exactly. And you can keep looking forward to our My Geek Universe podcasts with Nisha, I'm Your Geek Mom, where we take a sit-down conversation turned heart-to-heart with our lovely DG Lovelies and the people that we work with and that we find interesting and that we just really want to share their stories, as well as you can look forward to the continuation of Tasser, aka Brainsteam, aka
TARDIS.
Turning into the TARDIS. We all knew it was coming.
Yeah, so there's a lot to come, but really the biggest thing is more so a continuation of our shows, but really now going into what we've been asked to really discuss and the features that we'll have this year.
Agreed.
And we definitely have some feature guests coming on board over this next year that might be a surprise to our fans. So really look forward to some of the great entertainers, people from the art, history, and science world that you probably might not expect to have on the show, but we're really looking forward to that happening. So, yay!
Yes,
and
yes.
Also, we're going to be hitting the con scene pretty soon.
Yes, we are. All of us. Yes, we're actually going to be. We have a couple of conventions that we'll be joining, both in panel format and being able to go out and meet up and do meetups and such, and see where everybody wants to hang out and have a discussion. And we could do these fandom discussions and everything at the conventions there and then, as one of these meetups. And I think that's going to open a lot of conversations that we should have. And also with Man Bites Media, we're also going to be introducing and going further into Man Bites Retro, which is basically a kind of in-depth retrospective on films, a person in film history, artists in general that are film related or TV related. And this is basically grabbing the best of a certain person's top 5 films, favorite actor, favorite director, and having a conversation with them. And this is not going to just be the 5 or 6 of us. This is going to be a host with a person, a fan of the show, honestly, or a person that listens to the show or a fan of films in general. And we're going to sit down and have that conversation with your everyday person, not a person that's your radio personality or anything like that. We're all fans, and we all have something to speak about. And I think that's what the main point of Man Bites Retro is giving the fans voices, which everybody should have one. And I think that's what we're all about.
That's awesome. that's exactly what we're going to be doing with Diversely Geek Discusses, as you know, where we're really having those wonderful roundtable, open-ended, candid conversations with fans, looking at our journey into embracing our geek natures, our geek passions, and then ultimately accepting who we are. And what's amazing about it is, while with your focus on film and television, we're going to be really opening up the doors towards the art, the literature, the science, the architecture, and all the other aspects of fandom that are out there, including one near and dear to me. You guys can look forward to something I'm going to be bringing, which will be a really beautiful introspective on self-care and self-acceptance, which I'm going to be doing. Yay, I'm so excited.
I'm excited to hear that, too.
I know. You got a little bit of it. You heard a little sample.
Yes, I did.
I know you were like, oh, that's pretty okay. So, yeah. I can't really say more about it, but you will be hearing about it. Joe at Life Into the West and I will be on our site doing something like an introduction and saying a shout out to our fans. So look forward to probably a YouTube live stream that will give you a really good up to date about where we're going and what our path is going to be this year.
And on that note, that's exactly what you guys need to do. Go on to our social media accounts, join us on Diversely Geek on Facebook, Twitter, and all the social media platforms pretty much.
Yep.
And Man Bites Media, you could search for us anywhere. We have the YouTube show, the podcast, and we're on pretty much any streaming network for podcasts. You're able to find both of us on those platforms. And join up, subscribe, comment, leave reviews, give us your feedback, because that's what we want. We want to have these open-ended discussions with all the fans and anybody in general that wants to talk about film or anything with Diversely Geek. With Man Bites Media, we kind of focus in a little bit more on the media side, and including the film, TV, stuff like that. That's more of our in-depth reviews and stuff. But if you want to have any discussion, send us a message. We'll always have a discussion about something. We're all nerds here. We're all talk about anything and everything. So thank you, Nisha M, your geek mom, and Joe Into the West. Thank you guys for joining us for this amazing special that we did this year. And thank you guys for listening in on this episode. Subscribe, comment, and check us out next week for our weekly podcast. Have a great day.
Good night. Have a great year.
And now for our final musical artist, Jiffy Mixa, with his title track, She Want the Jiffy Mixa.
Gonna do your dance, dance, dance. Gonna do your dance, dance, dance. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benzes. She ain't got a lenses. Now she want the Jiffy Mixer. Wanna be the private dancer. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benzes. She ain't got a lenses. Now she want the Jiffy Mixer. Wanna be my private dancer. What's up, beautiful? I'm the Jiffy Mixer, come and try something new. She said I got dreams, I got hoop dreams too. Not trying to steer you wrong, you should take a chance. Not trying to be the man, just trying to get it in. Now she get it, now she really with it. As far as your friends go, baby, don't listen. They be hating on you without your permission. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benzes, she ain't got a lenses. Now she want the Jiffy Mixer, wanna be the private dancer. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benzes, she ain't got a lenses. Now she want the Jiffy Mixer, wanna be my private dancer. She said she wanna try new things. I got her in the mood, cause she listen to Hoop Dreams. What that means, I don't know. Even though it sounds flattering, girl, you can't run games. You gotta play the game. Actions speak louder than words. I'm addicted to your curves. She said, Jiffy, calm your nerves. Then she pushed me to the sofa. It's getting serious. Pound game is over. Like Drake, I control her. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benzes. She ain't got a lenses. Now she want the Jiffy Mixer.
wanna be the private dancer. Take chances, risk it. Mommy pulled up in the Benz. She ain't got a men's. Now she want the Jiffy mixer. Wanna be my private dancer. Yeah. Gone and do your dance, dance, dance. Yeah. Gone and do your dance, dance, dance. Take chances, risks. Mommy pulled up in the Benz. She ain't got a men's. Now she want the Jiffy mixer. Wanna be my private dancer. Gone and do your dance, 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 dance. Gone and